a lot to learn from like Ken's journey as well as Barbie's journey, and like how, you know, what I love, what really relates to like my album and my music is at the end she was kind of telling him like, you know, maybe the Barbie dream house and like these like material things and the beach and like all these things that you associate and identify with, like maybe that's not who you are. Like maybe we don't need to like over identify with things like these big milestones of like owning a house or getting married or these things that maybe in a traditional way that like Barbie was supposed to have. Like maybe those things aren't them. Like maybe that's not all that who we are. And so like I wrote that down too.
What I really, really resonated with and what I wanted to write about on my album Selfish, and kind of also part of the reason I want to do these series is because I feel like so many women and writers that I admire and listen to, such as yourself, like were talking about this stuff, and to see it, I'm gonna cry again, to see it represented and have all this money behind it, I was like, oh shit, somebody cares about that. And like it has been packed. It was just
I love this.
So cool.
I love this.
I told you I'm like I'm heightened. I'm in a heightened state. But I love
when she at the end when she was
ordinary,
like, the ordinary Barbie
thing. Yeah, I so relate to that. Like through COVID when I was writing my album, I was like, fuck, like I just want to be left alone to kind of like wander around and like read stuff and not read stuff and lay around without feeling so fucking bad, you know, about what I do or don't have or can be or can't be or all that stuff. And and
all the horses.
And that's patriarchy, I guess.
Barbie, that whole flat feet thing like killed me because like I have really flat feet and like have to get like treatment on my knees for my flat feet, and like it's like an issue, like I have to deal with this stuff and I have to wear like insoles. And so like all the whole thing about her being like my feet are flat, I'm like, I understand.
Like in my experience, there's always this fear of rejection for girls when you're too much.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like, you can be funny, but like don't be
live
like
in the box. That's so true. Yeah, Kate McKinnon was such a perfect person to like represent like weird. Both of I was just listening to your record and I loved it, and I was listening to your song, Achievement of Youth, right? Yeah, and I like that is so you know, resonant with like the Barbie movie and also with my music, and also like what she was saying about ordinary Barbie, about just like just kind of like wanting to be okay with like, why do we have to put all this pressure on ourselves to be so extraordinary? And like was that something that we put on ourselves, or was that something that like society put on us? And like how can we unpack all of that to like let ourselves be okay with like who we are? Because I think, you know, we all strive for this like level of like achievement in like every single aspect of our life that is like probably like we all may get to that point in like one aspect of our life, maybe not 20 aspects of our lives, but we think that if we don't accomplish it in like all 20 that we are failures. And you know, I think for sure during the pandemic I also like unpacked like certain parts of my life that I've been in this level of like acquiring and achievement and go like, because I grew up like you, like in like a showbiz family, and like a lot of it is about like achievement and like this and that and like recitals and performances, and enough to be like, wow, like I want to be ordinary Barbie in many aspects of my life, and like, is that okay with everyone? Like I don't want to show up at like 110% all the time. I love that, because I think there is this thing where it's like we need to like do as much as we can while we have this like currency of youth, and that's just like so toxic.
I wrote that song because that's like a Carrie Fisher quote, and I think Carrie Fisher is so groovy. Also, obviously grew up in a showbiz family. Well, you would think you could write better songs the more songs you write.
Such a fascination with youth and things like, oh, like everyone's always like, oh, you know, that she wrote that when she was 22, or like she wrote that when she was 19. But like I think you know, like there's people like Paul McCartney and, you know, so many different artists who are writing amazing songs well into their lives. And I think maybe people are writing that like more or something when they're younger, not even because they are, but because it's being promoted more when you're younger because of the whole machine of promoting youth. So it's hard to say if someone writes better when they're younger, or are they just being promoted more by labels and the big machine when they're younger. I was writing this essay about how, you know, like, you know, we all as female artists hear the whole like, oh, it's so good that you're doing this while you're young. It's so good that you're doing this while you don't have kids. And like, when I didn't go to college, so I was like doing music straight out of high school, and everyone was like, oh, that's so great. You're so young. Like, get it out of your system, or like, just do it now, like while you're young. And like, while I think that's gross, there also is like something to that, because like I'm 30 now. Touring now is not what it was when I was 24. Like when I was 24, I'm like, I could be on the road for like 6 months and like not even like break a sweat. The idea in my head that I was going to do this until like 30 or like 32. And then I was going to like get married and have kids and like focus on that and like live off of quote unquote royalties. That was my plan, but it wasn't even my like conscious plan. It was like the thing I was operating under. And then, you know, I got engaged and then we broke up, and then my whole life was turned upside down. And I was like, oh, like maybe I need to rethink all the things that I had kind of expected of myself as a female musician, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like you said, like trying to carve my own way again and rethink all of those things that I had put on myself before. And I don't know. I don't know. Like I guess I am a planner, but I'm also kind of like, I kind of surrender to wherever I shall be at like 50 or, you know, 20 years or 30 years down the line. Because
like, it kind of feels like walking away from an accident. You're like, whoa, how did I survive that? Holy shit, I'm still here. Legs, arms, head, brain, working. Like, okay, what am I going to do now? It kind of, it was so empowering, and I wish I had known it was going to be empowering to get older.
It's such a better place to be, and I needed age to find that. And of course, we're still so young. Everyone watching is like, oh, they're talking about they're so old. Yes, we're still like so young, but older than we were before. It's about this need to be just how it's impossible to win in every way that they want us to win, and to perform well in every single aspect of life. And, you know, I think that for me, like having this relationship that like ended in such a way, and then having to move forward and release an album and all these things, it's like, you know, like I've had a lot of things go really well and really cool and awesome, like in my career, and then like in my personal life, like in the past few years, like things have kind of been a shit show. So like, we're all, and in some years I'm probably gonna have like not a lot going on in my career, or like really cool things happening.
Even Barbie couldn't do it. I have to say one more Raye Barbie connection. You know how they were like, it always starts with roller skates. Like that's how you always, it's so cool. And then
some of the like skaters I follow on Instagram are like in the movie, like they're like background. Yeah, it's like super cool. But I like impulse bought, like the local skate shop here in Long Beach like posted the Barbie blades, like the one from the movie. They posted them and they were selling them like a limited quantity or whatever. And I bought them, like I was on a plane. I was like, oh, gotta get those, like within like 5 minutes of them posting it. And then they sold out within like a few hours. And now they're like impossible to get. But it was such an impulse buy like 2 months ago before I even really knew much about the movie. And I'm so glad, because now I have the exact same rollerblades as the one in Barbie.
And